Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only turbo coin. We are going to discuss multiple things. One is what we see right in front of us. Two is, Ethereum pumping recently and how that has affected turbo. And obviously, number three is just the basic fundamentals we cover every single time. And fourth is the technical analysis. So let's just jump right into this, right? In the Discord, right in the Discord, we can see that I got tagged practically to say and mention this. And it is true. It is true. And I just want to say it out there, right? Just in case there's any confusion or people think anything or try to create a narrative about this coin. You know how people are. People are always like weird and like in the comments and in Twitter and stuff. I'm not saying like necessarily mine, but just in general, right? People are just weird in life. But we can see Turbo is 100% decentralized, no official team, just passionate community members building together in their free time, which is ladies and gentlemen, why we have whales investing super heavy. Okay, we know crypto is the game of manipulation. Okay, there's good manipulation and there's bad manipulation. Bad manipulation is getting rug pulled. It is teams selling off on people. It is just doing all this other BS. Good manipulation is, especially in the context of meme coins, when institutions and big money start buying your coin, because that means there's a very high probability not only your coin is going to massively pump, but it's going to pump really well during the peak of altcoin season. Okay, because the reality is, it's like, yes, us little people can pump a coin if tens of thousands of us get together and we all put in, let's just say at the minimum a couple $100 to thousands of dollars. Sure, we can technically kind of pump a coin together, but not in the way that Turbo has been pumping, right? That's just reality. And the reality is, right before I continue reading this, is that the reality is a lot of newbies actually get liquidated on, right? They are the ones that get sold off in the future, right? When Turbo or any other coin is going to be pumping, and we are going to be literally near the end of altcoin season, they're not going to understand that. So a lot of them get wrecked, and then the whales sell on them, right? That is just how it works. It's just a game. Not everyone can literally win. I mean, it's the same thing in life, right? Not everyone wins with relationships. Not everyone wins with businesses. Not everyone can win with crypto. Okay, it's just how it is. But people that have been watching this channel for months now, or if you're new, welcome, or people that have been trying to be educated and have been giving themselves that extra edge for the last little while, they are going to be the ones that will succeed most likely, as long as they sell, of course. But look, yes, let's continue, right? There's no community wallet or fixed budget. Turbo's greatest strength is you, the loyal Turbo community. You're the real deal makers behind every partnership. Getting promoted to mod is a bonus, not a requirement. Anyone can contribute, collaborate, and make big things happen. Imagine partners like brands like Nike, Red Bull, Samsung, or Netflix. Imagine partnerships with brands like Nike, Red Bull, Samsung, or Netflix. The sky's the limit when the community comes together. And that is very true. That is why, I made that, Turbo video regarding Robinhood recently. We talked about that, right? How Robinhood is getting consistently rated by us, quote tweeted, tagged. It's very important, right? And once again, which I don't know, I made my first point, is that whales like this, the fact that there's a heavy community and there's no manipulation from the outside, means that they have full control, which means, like I said, this coin's going to do wonders this cycle, right? And don't be scared from the word manipulation. The whole crypto market's manipulated. The whole stock market's manipulated. The housing market, all the markets you can think of, life, news channels, the information you read and get, there's algorithms. It's just how life works, right? It's just how life works. So like I said, there's good and bad manipulation. Turbo is on the good side, because let me tell you, if there was a meme coin, if you're in a meme coin that is not moving kind of like Bitcoin, is not kind of moving like the chain you're on, it's not really getting pumps, then that is bad, okay? Because there's no life in the coin. So that is just a reality, okay? That is just a reality. Look, there's nothing really big in terms of actual news from Turbo. We can see that the big storm is coming. 25K views, pretty solid. That means probably something really big is going to happen. I feel like Robinhood, I haven't been told anything. I never get really told anything, but I feel like Robinhood is probably around the corner, like just within a couple weeks to a few short months, I just feel it. There's just no way. The amount of noise that Turbo makes is just you just can't ignore it, right? And we can see decent views and decent likes. Always make sure to like the post, leave a comment as well. But yeah, let's just dive right into the analysis. And let's also talk about Ethereum, because Ethereum recently had a very, very huge pump, okay? Ethereum has really, really shot up in the last 2 to 3 days, right? It has gone up from pretty much 1800 to at one point, let's just say 2500. Okay, yeah, we're a little off, but whatever. And then it closed at 2344. So it shot up and closed 30% within 2 days. And at one point, it was even up 37.5%. So very, very, very nice. Now, I saw a comment saying, well, look, Turbo really pumped up, but, sorry, Ethereum really pumped up, but Turbo didn't really get the pump it needed. It does this doesn't really matter. Like, right? That's what someone said. And I disagree. Look, you have to realize context is the most important thing in the markets and in life and just in general, okay? You have to realize that we were the largest pumped coin not too long ago, okay? Just 2 weeks ago, we pumped 178% at one point and we closed at 130%. We were the biggest winning coin in the whole entire crypto market in terms of the top like 300 or even top 400. Any relevant coins or any coins that can be relevant in this cycle at one point or during altcoin season, we were literally number one, right? We literally outperformed everybody. So you have to realize context really, really matters, okay? And the reality for Turbo is that, in my personal opinion, some type of correction has been due already, right? I don't think we will necessarily be reaching these levels, right? These levels over here. I am very, very doubtful unless Bitcoin decides to pull a quick one, go from 100, let's say 4K, back down to the 91K zone, right? If Bitcoin did decide to do that, which is very, very unlikely because it would have to break multiple structures again, then maybe I could see a world where at that point we can retrace 45%. But it is looking very, very unlikely. But it's still looking likely in terms of some type of retracement because we have been getting multiple rejections. We can see, right? We can see we have been getting literally multiple rejections. The strength has been overall much, much weaker. And I really do believe that if it wasn't for the Ethereum pump, that we probably would have seen some type of a little bit of a pullback at least. I would have thought, I wouldn't be surprised if we went back down to even like 0.004 or 47, because these candles are really starting to get exhausted, really low momentum in terms of the actual bodies, right? If we take away the wicks. And then Bitcoin showed some life and Ethereum showed life. And we can see that we decided to pump an additional, boom, if we take it from the bottom to even the top at one point, an extra 25%. So we kind of went 1-for-1 with Ethereum, a little bit less. But you got to remember the context is that we actually dominated the markets and have been very strong the last 2 to 3 weeks, okay? But yes, we also have been exhausting. So for me, I do think we actually reached this higher point strictly because of Ethereum. And I do believe, and I know it is very, very relevant, okay? It might not always be a 1-for-1 where Ethereum pumps up, this much and Turbo automatically pumps up, right? We've seen it before where Turbo has outperformed Ethereum. That is the reality, okay? We have for most part, we have outperformed Ethereum. And now, just because there's one solid pump where Ethereum outperformed us in this, let's just say this 2-day span, it doesn't really mean anything because the context, right? We talked about the context, but, the context is what proves that, like I said, Ethereum is just simply catching up to the success we've already had. And yes, it is still very correlated because when Solana starts taking off, all these Sol meme coins start doing. When BNB starts doing well, all these projects on BNB start doing well. When Base starts doing well, all these projects on Base start doing well. The context, which is different this time, but like I said, once again, the context in this particular moment in the last 2-3 days is that we actually did manage to get a further pump when I really do believe that the markets were suggesting for us to have some type of mini, pullback. Look, overall, in terms of the analysis, the bias is still the same. Overall, the candles are getting generally smaller for the buying pressure. So I would not be surprised if we just have a red week soon, okay? But red week is inevitable and it's not bad because you got to remember the healthiest thing that a coin can do, especially when we want to start pumping above these highs, right? When we want to go above these highs, we don't really want to just actually go straight up. That's going to be the most unhealthy thing for the market. We want to kind of be in a staircase pattern, right? We kind of want to be doing something like this where we're in a staircase, and then once we kind of start exploding, then that's when we kind of want to go straight up as much as we possibly can, right? This is probably going to be the first signs of altcoin season, right? And then we're going to slow down, probably have a decent correction, and then the final phase of the altcoin season, the true pump, is when turbo will be hitting those big numbers, and we're going to see candles we thought we would never see before, right? Hitting insane numbers each week, right? So I showed it with Doge before, how this looks crazy now until it actually happens, right? Doge was so small, and then if you would have actually bought Doge in 2021 before the two pumps, you actually would have made like over 100x. So it looks crazy until it happens. Okay. We're going to talk about one final thing, and that is going to be, we can see Bitcoin price, but going on the turbo basics. Okay. So we can see that 200 million volume in the last 24 hours. Yes, it has gone down a little bit, but the recording of this video is actually late on a Friday. We can see we're at 413 million market cap. We are 135th in the world. So we're fluctuating a little bit, but we're still holding very, very strong, right? We're still holding very strong. As long as we kind of like hold a 150, 160, we should be fine. I mean, we are still going to be fine, but my point is, in terms of really just taking quantum leaps forward and skipping the rankings, we don't really want to go back to 200. We shouldn't go back to 200 at this point. So we're most likely going to be chilling between generally 125 and 155 is my guess, before we do also start climbing up and gaining super quick momentum. We can see someone also put a chart over here, and I don't know what freaking time frame this is. This is too small, but this kind of doesn't really look like us. Actually, yes, it looks a little bit like us, but we are exhausting. We are exhausting a little bit. So if we do get a little bit of pullback, I would not be surprised. Like I previously said, we will check the holders. We could see that 54,600 practically, right? It is looking beautiful. Every time I check this, I'm like, wow, it actually just shocks me. Because the crazy thing is, it's like, you think the markets are super active, and in the way they are, but globally they're not. You guys got to remember, you are such a small minority. If you watch the other video that I explained, I said, look how small crypto is to stocks, right? And even stocks, a lot of people are not that involved in stocks, and it's way less for crypto. So the world is just simply not ready. The world is not ready. But like I said, this holding will rise super quick. Hundreds of people per day, thousands, upwards of tens of thousands in its prime. I promise you that. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time.